Now today I'll be speaking about a few of the winter holiday traditions that have come from other places in the world to be celebrated in Saskatchewan. How many might you recognize as part of your own family's traditions? At the end of the program, I'll also invite you to share how you celebrate holidays now, as well as in the past. So we'll get things started with our first picture here. And this is a picture of Saskatoon WDM Boomtown Street. So in 1910, people were moving to Saskatchewan, not only from Europe, but also from all over the world. Indigenous people who had been here for thousands of years also continue to call Saskatchewan home and still do today. When people moved here, they brought their languages with them. As well, Indigenous languages such as Cree were and still are spoken in Saskatchewan. The settlers also brought their ways of doing things in their home countries with them. Some of these ways of doing things are called traditions, and a tradition is something we do with our families and friends and communities because it's important to us. Some traditions are because of the religion that we might have. So some examples might be holidays like Easter, Ramadan, Passover, and Diwali. Other traditions have to do with certain times of the year. For example, my family goes to the lake in the summer, or we go skiing together every winter. And others have to do with food. So think of all the fun things we do at Thanksgiving with pumpkin pie. We have birthday cakes on our birthdays, chocolates on Valentine's Day, things like that. So again, get you thinking a little bit about your favorite traditions that you enjoy with your family and friends, and we'll share them at the end. When people came to Saskatchewan from Europe, they brought many traditions with them. And when they had children here, they shared their traditions with them, and then they shared them with their children, all the way down till now, where we still celebrate many of these traditions today. Maybe get you to change the picture there, Dave, and I think we've got one of a nativity scene there. So we're going to explore some traditions that take place in the wintertime that came to Saskatchewan from and around the world, from all around the world. To start things off, here are a few examples of some winter traditions that I'll be talking about this morning. Christmas, which is celebrated in many countries around the world. Hanukkah is a wintertime tradition celebrated in many Jewish families. New Year's Eve to celebrate the end of one year and the beginning of another. Let's start with Hanukkah. There we are. So this is the Jewish festival of lights, where a different candle is lit on the menorah on each of the 8 days. A menorah is a 9-branch candelabrum, a candle holder, and it's lit during the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah. 8 of the 9 branches hold lights, which can be candles or oil lamps, that symbolize the 8 nights of the holiday. On each night, one more candle is lit than the previous night, until on the final night, all 8 branches are ignited. The 9th branch holds a candle called a shamash, which means helper or servant, used to light the other 8 candles. The observance of Hanukkah celebrates the victory of a group of Jewish people against a leader who was treating them badly and not respecting them. After winning back their temple that had been destroyed, the Jewish people cleaned it up. They lit its menorah, even though they only had oil for it to burn for one day, and the menorah was supposed to burn all the time. This happened in a time long before electricity. Miraculously, the oil that they had actually lasted 8 days and kept the menorah burning bright. All right, playing with the dreidel is also a Hanukkah tradition. The dreidel is a spinning top with 4 sides, each inscribed with a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The Hebrew letters inscribed on the dreidel are Nun, Gimel, He or Che, and Shin. The letters form an acronym for the Hebrew saying, Nes Gadol Hayasham, which can be translated to, a great miracle happened there, referring to the miracle of the menorah, which Hanukkah is centered on. Dreidel is commonly played in a group setting, with each player starting with an equal number of game pieces. Those game pieces could be items including chocolate Hanukkah gelt, which is chocolate wrapped in gold foil that looks like a coin, often gifted to children, other candy, or any other items the players choose to contribute. Each player contributes from their game pieces to a collective pot, from which portions or all of it can be won, depending on what Hebrew letter the dreidel lands on. The tradition of Hanukkah is celebrated around the world, including in Canada and the United States. But today, Israel is the only Jewish majority country in the world. Many people in Saskatchewan have families that came to Canada from Germany. This photo is of a woman's dress and bonnet that was distinctive of the Bavarian region of Germany. Many German people celebrate Christmas, just like people in Canada do, but some of their traditions are a bit different. In Germany, nutcrackers are a big part of the Christmas celebration. When German people came to Canada, they brought a special kind of nutcracker with them. These nutcrackers are meant to look like toy soldiers because they help to protect your house at Christmas time and are believed to help ward off bad spirits. Most older nutcrackers actually crack the shells off of nuts, but they've become so popular at Christmas that many of them are now for decoration only. In German, nutcracker is pronounced Nussknacker. Do you put up a Christmas tree each December? Germany is also credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition as we know it today, in the 16th century when devout Christians brought decorated trees into their homes. It is a widely held belief that Martin Luther, the 16th century Protestant reformer, first added lighted candles to a tree. Walking towards his home one winter evening, composing a sermon, he was awed by the brilliance of stars twinkling amidst the evergreens. To recapture the scene for his family, he erected a tree in the main room of his house and wired its branches with lighted candles. Now, I think we've got a picture here of a more modern candle holder. Yes, there it is. And this one's from our collection with the WDM. And this one could be clipped right onto the tree branch while holding a candle upright. So you kind of squeeze the little handle and it opens like a claw. Today, while many people still use a real evergreen tree to celebrate the season, many have turned to artificial Christmas trees. For safety and efficiency, electric lights have replaced the candles. This is a photo of an aluminum Christmas tree in our collection, a popular style in the 1950s and 60s that could be illuminated by projecting a colored slide upon it. In Canada, many people think of New Year's Day as taking place on January 1st, due to Canadians following the Gregorian solar calendar. But many countries in Asia have a different calendar, also called the lunar calendar, that follows different phases of the moon, where the New Year takes place either in late January or early February. This is called the Lunar New Year. The Lunar New Year is celebrated in many countries, including China, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Singapore, Tibet, and Mongolia. The lion dance is done at Chinese cultural events, such as Chinese New Year, to bring good luck and to scare off evil spirits. It's done with two people, one acting as the front legs and head, and the other acting as the rear legs. The lion is guided by a teaser who wears a mask and tunic. The teaser uses a fan to tease the lion and coax it into performing specific dance moves while also guiding it safely through the streets. This mask was owned by Tom Yee, Nok Hee Tam, the owner of the iconic Saskatoon restaurant, Lorne Avenue Chop Suey. I've got a picture here. I love this one. This photo comes from the City of Regina archives and shows the lion dancers and a teaser in action on a parade float. You can kind of get the whole idea of what that looks like. In China, the Lunar New Year celebrates the end of winter and the beginning of spring. And this is why the Lunar New Year is also called the Spring Festival sometimes. Brightly colored red lanterns are hung everywhere during Lunar New Year. There's even a big lantern festival. The light from lanterns shows that we are moving away from winter when it is dark out to spring when it will be more light. The lanterns are also very special in Chinese culture. The red color means good fortune in the coming year. Chinese children carry the lanterns through their communities at night, and people of all ages come together to solve riddles written inside the lanterns. Like Germans, many people from Ukraine came to Saskatchewan during our province's early settlement period. Ukrainian children celebrate Christmas, like many children in Canada, but like in Germany, their traditions are a bit different. Some Ukrainian children learn about the legend of the Christmas spider at this time of year. Some of us might not be too keen on spiders, but this one is a helpful one. The legend explains how people came to put tinsel on their trees. So I'm going to read this story here. Many years ago, there lived a small house where a woman with her 2 children lived. Times were hard in Ukraine, and especially hard in this home, as the father had been drafted that summer by soldiers from another country that had held their beloved land. They had needed a skilled blacksmith to tend their horses, and the father of this poor family was the best blacksmith for miles around. With times being so hard, food was scarce. But this Christmas Eve, the mother had still managed to prepare the traditional dishes for her family. There were only a few spoonfuls of each dish, but they had kutia, a sweet wheat pudding, a very small kolache, a slightly sweet yeast bread that is braided, a few pierogi, and holobusti, stuffed cabbage rolls, made from vegetables that the mother had managed to harvest that fall. The house had been cleaned from top to bottom. Decorated cloths were arranged around the icons, and they had a sheaf of wheat in the corner. The children watched for the first star, as they always did, and then they had the special meal, Holy Evening, and sang Christmas carols. Later, they walked to church in the snow for midnight mass, joining their neighbors and their friends. Once back home, the mother could not fall asleep. Earlier, her young son had found a small tree, and together they had gone to the forest, cut it down, and carried it home. They could not afford new candles or paper to make decorations, nor flour and honey to bake cookies to hang on its branches. The woman's daughter had saved a few short scraps of ribbon, and they had shined and tied their 3 Christmas apples to the tree with the ribbon. In the darkness of the night, the poor little tree stood bravely. The woman prayed that next year the family's tree would once again be beautifully decorated as it had been in the past, and that her husband would return home. Now, living in this small house was also a small spider. Being a spider, she was not very old, but she had been born in this house, and she loved the whole family. It was considered good luck to have a spider in the home, so she knew that she was safe, and she often found crumbs placed near her web. The spider was saddened to think that the mother was disappointed with the Christmas tree because she thought it looked quite lovely. She wandered over to the tree thinking, I wonder. The little spider went straight to work, and she stayed up all night, and just as the sun was starting to rise, she fell asleep right on the highest branch of the tree. The mother awoke to the sound of her children saying, Look, look, the tree, the tree. She opened her eyes and saw in the early morning sunlight it was flooding through a small window and falling right onto the tree that was covered from top to bottom with sparkling silver spider webs. And there at the very top was the dear little spider who had worked throughout the night to create this beautiful gift for its family. Just then a noise came from outside. The father had traveled many days by foot to be home for Christmas. Look at the miracle our little spider has brought to our Christmas tree. She has blessed us with good luck, a beautiful Christmas tree, and our dear father and husband home again. That evening, when the carolers came to sing at their home, the father let the candle stubs saved from the previous year so they could share its light with their visitors. And that little spider looked down from high on the Christmas tree and smiled upon her beloved little family. So this was adapted by Janet Preshabushki Daniluk from Ukrainian Christmas Traditions, Folk Customs, and Recipes by Marianne Wallach-Vaughan, copyright 1983. So just a nice little legend. Today, some Ukrainian children still make decorations of pavolchi, meaning little spiders, to put on their Christmas trees. What kind of ornaments do you remember putting on your Christmas tree when you were younger? What do you decorate with today? We would be remiss also not to mention that the many Indigenous groups in Saskatchewan celebrate and honor the winter solstice. This marks the transition of the seasons for humans, animals, plants, and other elements of the natural world. And moving on to another culture, like children in Germany, Ukraine, and Canada, children in Scandinavia, made up of the countries of Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, celebrate Christmas, sometimes called YULE. Before people in Scandinavia had what we know as Christmas today, they had YULE. YULE was a 12-day festival based on the celebration of pre-Christian gods, including the Norse god Odin. As Christianity was introduced to Scandinavia, Christmas gradually took the place of Yule, though Yule is still celebrated by some people today. One of the Scandinavian Christmas traditions is the Yule goat. In some Scandinavian cultures, there is an ancient god of the harvest, the time of year when farmers bring all the crops in from the fields, who takes the form of a white goat. The last sheaf of grain is bundled in the harvest and was thought to have magical qualities, so it was saved for the Yule celebrations in winter. In honor of this tradition, many Yule goat decorations today are made from pieces of wheat and other grains. Today, the Yule goat is seen mostly handing out presents to children with someone who looks a lot like St. Nicholas, the inspiration for Father Christmas and Santa Claus. The Yule goat means hope and good luck for Christmas and the new year ahead. The Swedish word for Yule goat is julbaken. British Christmas traditions from the United Kingdom are perhaps the ones that we might be most familiar with today in Canada. A big part of the Christmas celebration in Britain is the tradition of giving gifts. Many of the things that we eat, turkey, stuffing, potatoes with gravy, cranberries, and fruitcake, and many of the things that we do at Christmas time today in Canada come from British traditions. These traditions include putting presents in stockings, pulling open Christmas crackers, and wearing the funny hats, as well as going to church on Christmas Eve, singing songs like Deck the Halls, and going shopping on Boxing Day. One explanation for Boxing Day is that in the 19th century, December 26 was a day when servants to wealthy English people were given time off. The servants were given boxes with Christmas presents and food in them to take home to their families. Another historical explanation is that on the day after Christmas, church collection boxes for the poor were opened up and the money given out. More recently, some people think Boxing Day is a good time to deal with all the boxes and wrapping paper left from the open Christmas gifts. And that brings us to the conclusion of our formal program today. We're also excited because we have a brand new slate of topics and speakers heading into the new year. Our theme will be winter travel in the month of January.